Why do we dumb ourselves down as women when it comes to relationships? And I'm talking about relationships on your jobs, relationships, romantic, friendships, family members, siblings, all those different things. Why do we dumb ourselves down in relationships, right? We may have these different relationships. Now, I can only think of a few relationships that I have myself in particular have dumbed myself down for. And this was early on. Now, understanding, why I was doing those things made sense at the time, but now looking back on it, I'm like, man, I was dumbing myself down. I can tell you one instance where I was I had a previous relationship, and I think I talked about this before, where we were two friends. Both of us was married at the time, and my friend was at the time was in competition with me, and I just didn't even pay it any attention. I just kept I didn't pay it any attention because I didn't want to, because I still wanted her as my friend. But at the same time, I knew she was never a friend. My mom had already told me. She said she would be a friend that would always be in want and would never have. So y'all know what that means. That means like she will always have a handout, but if you asked her if you needed her, she will never have it for you. And that's literally how it was. And my mom met her one time, and that's the first time she told me that. But this person, I'm going to try to make them small, the different things that happened to me, and I was dumbing myself down for. My ex was going up in his career, and it seemed like every time I was like, hey, he got another raise or promotion or whatever, she would say, oh, my husband got another raise or promotion. And I'd be cheering it on. I'm like, hey, it's in my mind, I'm like, it's great. Both of us, we got some ambitious husbands, and they're doing their thing or whatever. And look at us. We're like going to the top. And I was grateful because we have been through so much together. And then after a while, I started noticing, I'm like, man, that's kind of coincidence that every time something happened. So I stopped telling her. But then eventually we had to move. So that was more of evidence that, hey, they doing pretty good, right? So we had to move. We ended up buying a home and things like that. And she wouldn't even come to the house to celebrate. It took her a long time to come to the house, celebrate. And what I would do when I would come down here to Miami, because I would move to Orlando, what I would do, I would come down here to Miami. And at the time I had just gotten a BMW. I would be like, oh, I always played it down, right? And be careful when you do things like that, when you play down God's blessing to you, because he will remove that. He'll take that away from you. If it's kind of like you ashamed of me, and like, you don't dumb down what I blessed you with, right? But I'd be like, oh, it's not a big deal. She'd be like, oh, you got a BMW. They would say things like that. Oh, you got a big house. And I was just like, oh, that's nothing. And I'll be like, God can take that away, and that ain't no big deal. But I didn't want her to ever even talk about it, because I knew that she was jealous and she had a problem with it. So instead, what I would do is dumb down everything and not talk about it, and try to hang out with her like in the bad parts and stuff. Because I'm like, she's like, oh, let's go here, and put me in bad situations, because I didn't want to come off as like bougie, or I ain't got no chapstick on, y'all, no lipstick. Yeah, bougie, or think that I forgot where I came from, right? So I would do these things and feel unsafe, because I was dumbing myself down, and I was trying to let her see that I didn't change. But in actuality, I did change, and it was a good change. And she should have been the friend to say, I'm so proud of you. I'm glad you changed. She wasn't that friend. So that was one thing that happened. But eventually, my parents end up, passing away. And when they passed away, I kind of saw her true colors when it was time for a need. Remember I told you what my mom said at the beginning? She couldn't do anything. She couldn't offer anything. She couldn't do anything. And that was the one time I needed her. So, of course, I ended that relationship, right? Because it wasn't serving her or me. But it was so many times that I just dumbed myself down, because I was like, I didn't want her to feel uncomfortable with my blessings, right? I'm sorry, guys. I'm like in my car. So I didn't want her to feel uncomfortable with my blessings. The second time I dumbed myself down was at a job. I was, of course, a hairstylist, and the particular hairstylist that I was working under did not have the skill set that I had. You know, right? I was working on everybody's hair. I never limited myself and put myself just working on black hair. And this person was like, I want you to do hair like this. Because she was in the business longer than me, there were a lot of wisdom that she had. So I took advantage of that. I was like, well, she's willing to teach me. So I was willing to learn from her. But as my skill set started getting better and better, right? And people would come to me when she wasn't around and say, hey, I want to come to you, right? And I'm like, no, because I don't do stuff like that either. I'm like, no, go ahead and just keep going to her. But they didn't like her work. And so eventually she was telling me some of them are saying they want to come to me. And she was like, I don't have a problem with them coming to you. I was like, you really don't? She was like, no. So then some of the customers start coming to me, it was a lot, right? And she was saying that she was really getting ready to retire, so it wasn't a big deal, right? And so when the customers would come, they'd talk to her and everything, but they would come and get their hair done by me. And then when they would leave, she would be like, oh, she'll start talking about the customers, right? And so I'd be like, oh, don't worry about that. It's nothing. I did nothing. Like, I dumbed down my skill set and the things that I had done. And the people loved their hair, right? But I didn't want her to feel a certain kind of way. So basically, when you hear these subjects, right, the topic, right, basically, how can I say this? We know our gifts. Sometimes we know our gifts and the things that God has blessed us with. And we are sometimes, because we know how powerful we can be, we will pull back because we may love someone and we know that person may struggle with jealousy or envy, or they may be a lazy person, or you already see yourself elevating in life and they're not elevating and it's somebody you love. So you don't want them to feel a certain kind of way. A lot of times too, we have low self-esteem. Sometimes we cannot see how mighty of a person that we are in our gifts and in the blessings that God has given us, right? So sometimes those things will happen. And for me, that's what it really was. It was like, yeah, I could do hair, but I was really making a name for myself, and I could do hair, and I was good at it, and I had good customer service, and I serviced my people. So it wasn't just the fact of the skill set of doing hair. It was the fact of, okay, I got the skill set, but I also knew how to treat my customers and roll out the red carpet. That's what made my name. That's my name was made by not overcharging people, my customers, and being able to do from a man clipper over scissor haircut, or clippers, to a woman's color cut, all those different things. So I'm bringing this topic up because it's like, we do this because, of course, y'all already know I was talking to one of my friends and we were talking about how we just dumb ourselves down. And then the problem with that is the fact that when you're dumbing yourself down, you're wasting your time, and you're not living to your full potential. You're not living up to the blessing that God's saying, like, hey, I gave this to you. What are you doing with it? What are you doing with your talent? So we waste it away because we're trying to please somebody here, when God, like, no, teach them how to fish. Don't lay down what I've taught you. Don't take away my gift, and don't do anything with my gift because you love this person. Because if you really love this person, you would show them how to get it done. You would be the righteous example for them so they can change their mind and help them elevate. Don't dumb yourself down, and it's like the blind leading the blind. So I wanted to do this video to bring this out. And one of the things I do want to say to you ladies, I try to comment on everybody comment, but it gets to be a lot. But I'm so grateful that y'all come on here and you talk about your experiences on these different topics. And you guys help not just me, but you help other women. And that's what this channel is for. It's not just about the hair. Y'all know what I say. It's the inside as well. And another place we may dumb ourselves down is in the men that we choose as well. Some of us choose men and well, I don't want to say dumb down. Some of us do choose men, like maybe you come from a whole nother world, the church world, or or the more conservative world, and he come from the hood or whatever. Some of you may have deal with that, and it's certain things and certain values and things that you have that that person may not have, right? And when that happens, you try to dumb down and act like that good life that you had never existed, so you can feel equal to that person that you that may, you know what I'm saying, that may feel some kind of way as well. So we dumb it down even in that as well. And I'll tell you quick, if you are not equally yoked, do not link up with that person and do not try to go on their level. Let them come up to your level. You know what I mean? Or at the same time, just accept it for what it is and say, hey, this person is just not for me. Right? So I just wanted to bring this video out to talk about why women dumb themselves down when it comes to our relationships. And I gave you 2 examples. You guys can give your examples as well. I am Lee Hill, your hair coach. I pray that this video blesses you. I will see you next video. Bye.